Hi, my name's Noreen McNew. I work for CIT Bank, and what I do is I develop and write policies and procedures, which we call P&P, for the risk department of our bank. Until a few months ago, I worked in an office in Old Town Pasadena, but since the COVID-19 pandemic, I'm here in my spare room, working from home. I'm fortunate that I have a 2-bedroom apartment, so my computer is set up here and it's easy to work from home. I have 2 monitors, which we were used to using at home at work, so it makes it easy to do that. I started doing this almost 30 years ago. It's been a while. I've only worked for CIT Bank for the last 10 years. And during that 30 years, there was a space of time when I was training as my primary job. So I was creating training classes and delivering training for like the tellers and the new accounts people and what we call the operation managers in the branches. But even during that time, I was still writing policies and procedures too. I spend a lot of time during the day on the computer. But it's not writing all day, although I love doing the writing. Instead, my job involves project management. I manage multiple documents that are in my queue. I provide existing documents for editing or assist in the development of new documents. I analyze the updates that we get to ensure that it doesn't increase the risk to the bank. I format the content and meet with, make sure it meets our department requirements for the entire bank, like writing and grammar and all that stuff. I coordinate the review and approval of the documents by the key stakeholders that are involved in whoever's using those documents. I mean, that could be the law department, our compliance department, or other areas that are impacted. And of course, I have to track where all the documents are in my queue all the time. I work with the document owner to incorporate any feedback I get during the review and figure out what the final doc should look like. And once I get the final approval, then I need to post it online. That involves an online system. It's called RoboHelp. It's an Adobe product, like our Adobe PDFs that you're probably familiar with. So it's software. I use Microsoft products. A lot of things like that go into what I do on a daily basis. My job is really important to me because I get a lot of satisfaction about doing something that I'm really good at and that I enjoy, which is writing. It's challenging to keep all those moving pieces into play. I never get bored. There's always something else going on. You get a lot of opportunities to learn about a lot of different areas in the bank. I've spent most of my time working with the retail people, which retail for us means the branch people that you would go into a branch bank anywhere. But I also get, and since I've done that for such a long time, I'm a little bit of a, what we call a subject matter expert for the retail side of the bank, but I get to learn a lot at other sides of the bank too. I work with the law department. I work with compliance. Sometimes I work with the credit side or the loan side of the bank, all of that different sides. And because we're part of risk, that has a huge impact on the entire bank. That includes like compliance, because we have to comply with all kinds of federal regulations or state regulations that we have to do. So in addition to all that, it pays the bills and allows me to do one of the things that I really love to do, which is to travel. I love traveling out of the country. Of course, that's going to have to wait a while now with the COVID outbreak, but it's very rewarding. I use all kinds of personal skills that I've learned on the job. That includes like the computer skills, like with Microsoft or the Adobe products. I do project management, which can translate into all kinds of different things, but you have to make sure that from the beginning to the end, you meet all the requirements, whether it's timelines or what reviews have to be done, or just making sure that you meet your time deadlines. I was lucky. I started out with one of the main things that I needed to be able to do, and that was to type. I learned that in high school, and I'm very grateful for that. As time went on, I started taking computer classes. I took Microsoft classes. I also took journalism and writing classes after I got the job in the bank, because I didn't start out working for a bank. I started out working at a Hallmark shop. I did that kind of retail in a mall for 7 years, and I had a good time doing it, but my life changed a little bit, and I knew I needed more of a career than just working in a shop. So I took the computer classes. I started going to college. I didn't go to college until I was 30 years old. And I took those journalism and writing classes and project management classes, because I knew if I was working for a bank, I needed my degrees to be able to move up in the company. So if there's really one piece of advice that I would give you about achieving whatever your dreams or your goals are, is try to figure out what you really want to do. I have friends that don't like their jobs, and often all they do is complain. They just hate what they do. And that doesn't make sense to me. That's no way to live. You need to find out what you like. And your first choice may not necessarily be what you keep doing for the rest of your life. When I started out as a secretary at a bank after I quit the Hallmark shop, and I got that because I already knew how to type and I'd learned how to use a computer. And then I started the college classes so I could improve myself and make sure I knew what I was doing. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do. But when I look back on it, when I was a child, so we're talking about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years old, I always said I either wanted to write or teach. And I've done both in my career, maybe a little differently than I thought about. I never really thought I'd write for business or that I'd teach for business, but it ended up being really fulfilling to do that. And oddly enough, I ended up doing both of those things. So even though I lost sight of those goals for a while, life sometimes takes you in different directions than you think. But those dreams eventually led to where I am today. And I have a very fulfilling job, something that I really like to do. And I hope that at some point you find that too.